Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quest to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
Find yourself looking for a new job or change in career? Monster.com is here to help. We are not only here to bring you job postings, but also AI interview prep and salary tools, expert career advice, and top-notch resume services. We've got everything you need to land your perfect job fit. Discover the magic of finding the ideal job with Monster.com. Your future starts now. Visit Monster.com today. Your next job opportunity is just a click away.
Edit audio.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robin Hopkins, and this is Well Adjusting, where I talk to people about life stuff, but not in an NPR way. It's more like we're at the bar, having cocktails, getting into your business sort of way.
It's giving drunk NPR.
Oh, and producer Steph is here too.
Hello.
Today we chat, well, working in partnership and staying friends. Hey, friends. Okay, I'm so excited that you're here with us today because we are talking about partnerships, friendships, and how to keep them both when you are working together. Now, Joe and Morgan are joining us today. They are two very cool ladies who, by the way, claim not to have been popular in middle school and high school, to which I say, how is this possible? Anywho, they've been friends since like 8th grade in that opposites attract kind of friendship. Now, today they're running a business together, and their opposite personality traits they're sometimes causing a little bit of friction. So we're going to get into how do we meet in the middle as partners, but more importantly, communicate when we're on opposite side of things. And also, how do we get work done, each getting to do what you do best? And how do you do all that and then still want to hang out together after the workday is done? So we got our work cut out for us today. I think we should get right into this chat.
Hello, my name is Morgan Walsh, and I work for Anxiety Addicts Bedtime Stories, and I live in Milan.
Ooh.
I'm Joe Newman. I write and record Anxiety Addicts Bedtime Stories with my best friend in the entire world, Morgan Walsh, and I record this to you live from my landlocked state of Wyoming.
By the way, Morgan, you're already in trouble because you didn't say with my best friend Joe, but we're going to just move on from that and hope maybe that's the problem today. Why are you guys with us today? What are we going to talk about?
So in 8th grade, looking back in hindsight, Joe and I both felt kind of like the underdog, not cool. And we both thought each other were really, really cool.
Aww.
And we weren't really friends. We had 2 different groups of friends coming from 2 different elementary schools. And Joe was really cool, by the way. She's always been very outgoing. I was always very shy. And one day in 8th grade, this little petite red-haired curly girl comes bopping up to me at my locker. She's like, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" And we actually wrote a bedtime story about this. I was so excited. I kind of felt like somebody asked me out on a date for the first time. And I was stressing because I really wanted her to like me. And Joe has always been unapologetically herself in the most genuine way. And I was just constantly self-conscious of everything. So from that day on, we literally have been attached at the hip, even though she lives in Wyoming and I live in Italy.
And what's funny is that Morgan seems very sweet and very sociable and very friendly and very outgoing, but she actually doesn't really like people. So the reason that we have stayed in connection this long is because I just call her and she's like, oh.
Yes, Joe is very, very good at that. And although I'm not going to deny it, I do like people. I just happen to be I think I read it once. It's called like an extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
Jo, on the other hand, from the moment I met her, is extremely confident in a positive way and more extroverted.
Okay, so tell us how this is your opposites attract is because we had a couples therapist who once told us like the thing that brings you together is often the thing that can then drive you apart later or force you to your growth edge.
So I'm going to own my shit first.
Ooh, this is so healthy. I love all this already.
Well, I'm in a lot of therapy, Robin. What I think and I know that this is an issue with myself, but I definitely have some ADD, maybe some ADHD. I've tried the meds. I don't like them. I have coping mechanisms that work for me and maybe not necessarily for somebody else who is somehow not in my head and reading my thoughts at any given time. But I get amped up about things and I want them done before I have finished taking my sip of coffee. Nobody would call me a perfectionist. I want it out and I want it done. And
so it's out of your brain?
No, so I can move on to the next thing.
Got it. Okay.
I was raised in a household where productivity was really valued over everything else. And I don't really have a judgment call on that. Like, it is what it is. And I want things done. I just want them done. And I get excited and I get amped up and I throw out not my best work all the time and totally regret it. But then, I like to do the same things over and over and expect different results, which I know is the definition of crazy.
How does it show up for you, like in partnership? Because it's like, it's one thing, like if you have that expectation of yourself, but asking for a friend just because I might be exactly the same. Like, I know that sometimes when I get into that state, I can start judging people and start like checking them and being like, well, she hasn't done this yet. She said she'd do this. And then I can get very hyper critical of what's being put out because it didn't happen in my timeline. I'm just wondering, does that show up for you at all?
I have no idea what you're talking about. It's like you're speaking a different language and I don't get that, Robin. Yeah, all of that might happen.
Yeah, because that's tough in part, like, because it's like, I know that it's best intentions. Generally speaking, it's just like there's this thing, you're excited, but it can very easily pop over to like, I'm a taskmaster and there's no room for creativity because it's not on my timeline.
It's funny because I think it's a little bit of both because Jo is the creative one in our relationship. Like, she's, the actress, the writing. Me, I've always been in the corporate setting. And I like things planned out and done before I do them. I don't like to go by the seat of my pants. If I'm going to write an email and it's going to go out to a lot of people, it's going to be looked over. It's going to be checked. In the beginning, I don't do it as much now because I do get dirty eyes, but like, I'll ask Jo, like, how does this sound? And she's like, you don't need to ask me, just send it out. And I like to check and recheck and make sure things are perfect before I do that. And how it's come up, I have just one stupid example, but like whenever we have to do a promo or like write something, Jo's amazing. Jo will write it and she'll be like, come on, let's do it right now. And I'm like, no. I need to read it 50 times and probably like record myself doing it before I can jump on.
Before I actually do the record.
Before I actually redo it. And again, I see people on podcasts all the time. You don't need to be a trained actress to do well at it, but I can't stand the sound of when I do them, when I read the scripts and stuff and I go, oh, I get very professional all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I get very like stiff. And I said,
Robin, she calls me Miss Jo.
I go, Miss Jo, how was your week?
Like, I'm like, you've seen my vagina.
Also, Miss Jo.
Miss Jo, all of a sudden that you hit record and I get in my professional stance.
So you're a perfectionist.
I'm a perfectionist, but I think it's because I have a lot of self-doubt that I want to be prepared. Whereas Jo, you could give her something and it will be perfect the first time she does it because she's a performer and it comes off so natural. And when I try it, Jo's like, okay, let's try that again.
Well, but there's a difference between it being sucky and it just like her thinking she can get better out of you.
Yeah.
Like any good couple, whether it be like a partnership, a love relationship, or a friendship, like opposites do attract for a reason. So I'm curious, like, because I'm already hearing like all this lovely, healthy talk, which I love. But like, how do you meet in the middle? Like, do you have a pattern of rubbing up against it, it explodes? Or do you have a pattern of like, once a month you meet and talk about these things? Like, how do you all address it? Because I mean, this is just who you all are.
I think we're both very passive aggressive, but I think it's the first one. I think we rub up. And when we can both tell, like, we are asking questions in that, I'm trying to think of a good one.
Like, oh, did you get this done? Oh, did you see this?
Yeah. Oh,
like
did you happen to catch that email?
It was sent 5 days ago. Hasn't been responded to.
Yeah. Did you see that? Oh, did it not? Oh, did this email not show up on your computer? That's weird.
That's a good one.
But yeah, so I definitely think it's the first one. I think it's rub up. And then there's a moment, but I'm sorry, I know this is not fun. There hasn't been an explosive moment yet. There might be, but there's been a moment of us sitting down.
Can we have one
like,
right now? Can we try I'm just kidding.
There's been moments of us being like, we get pissed off. Like, this really annoyed me. This hurt me. I don't like this. But so far, it's only been 2 years, Robin. So far, Joe, please chime in. It hasn't like necessarily worked. We'll go fall back into it later. But so far, it's been helpful to constantly talk about it.
What do you think, Miss Joe?
Yeah, definitely. But I think
that's Joe's passive aggressive nod when she doesn't talk and she just stares and she goes, "Yeah, we could try that." So go on, Joe.
But this is a personal reflection, Morgan. This isn't you. I think that, first of all, I am so lucky to have somebody I can be as honest with as Morgan, which is pretty fucking awesome. Because she does call me out on my shit, and I do have a lot of shit. It doesn't change me. like we will rub up. We will have a good conversation about it. We'll need some time to cool off, but then I keep on doing the same shit.
But as do I.
Like, I'm not learning from my experiences.
This reminds me so much of like just a long-term relationship. Like I don't know how many times I've mentioned on this podcast that like, and I have a lot of things I do, but it's just easier for me to say things Mary does. Thanks. But she just like with the sponge on the side of the sink and the leaving the drawers open, which I'm looking over right now. Her nightstand is open. Why is it open? I don't know. Why can't you close that? But so like there's that part of long-term relationship, like that is just going to happen. But then there's the part that is like, can we have a way, like if I say to Mary, like, what the fuck with the drawer? Like, why can't you? That doesn't work. But if I do say, I just want you to know that this is my nice voice. It does bother me. Could you close the drawer? And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And so there's those things that you do have to just accept that is like, Joe, you just said, it's me. And then there's some things that I think one can work toward and try to put some systems in place to have it be like less of like, because the thing I get concerned about the rubbing up against is an explosion.
Yeah.
Eventually.
You know what I think would, and I'm not here to take over the Robin job, but
Please.
do you know what would be really...
Can you fix my marriage?
I leave the drawers open, Robin, so I don't know if you want to talk to me.
God damn it. Thanks for coming. This was a really great episode, y'all.
Yeah, and it drives Dean crazy. You know what else I do? I take everything out of the microwave before it's done the proper countdown because I don't like things telling me what to do. But then the microwave doesn't tell you what time it is anymore, and my husband likes to know what time it is in every room in the house.
So you don't clear it after?
No, I'm busy.
You're an animal.
I'm on to the next thing, Robin.
You are an animal, Joe.
I'm an animal.
All right, go finish what you're saying.
Okay, so I have a solution.
Okay.
Morgan, you know what I think would be really, really helpful is when we have an idea, we should have a deadline and we should agree on it right then and there.
Morgan's making an uncomfortable face.
Yeah, she doesn't like it. She's super mad about it.
There was a little rocking that happened, Morgan. So I'm gonna.
No. I think it's a great idea. I'm now thinking I don't like looking inside myself too much, but now I am, and I think this is uncharted territory for me. Joe and I were laughing because I said to her the other day, I don't think you know what I used to do. in my old job. She's like, she'll ask me like, oh, you must know how to do this. And I have never worked with social media before. I've never been on social media before. So for me, I'm pulling myself out of a comfort zone.
Yeah.
That is taking longer than I thought it was going to.
Well, because of the perfectionism.
Yeah.
Because because there's a certain amount of social media and that kind of stuff where you're just jumping. And you're just like, who cares if this looks stupid? It'll be gone in 24 hours. You know, it's like, but that's gonna be a tough space for you to learn. Yeah.
And I think that's why it's come over me so much, is this nerve to get something out there. Joe knows a big issue, something that definitely on my part annoys her, is I have 8 million drafts for social media that we're supposed to post. And I go to press push and I can't do it. And then I say, I have 8 million drafts. I just can't post them. And then when I do, I'm like, why do I want that out there? Who cares what I'm worried about or whatever? I don't know. I have to get over it. And I know it's something that I can get over.
Yes. But like what I'm also thinking here is like some ground up summit where you two talk about all the tasks and realign them with what works best for each of you. I don't know that I want to put you on pushing the button on social media, but I might set you up in a buffer account where you schedule it and it goes without you knowing. You schedule it for tomorrow at 9 a.m. And in your perfectionist head, you go, well, I could fix that before tomorrow at 9. And then you're on to something else and it moves. But that's just like one solution, but like of taking all the tasks and separating them out and being like what do we each do best? Because like I had a partnership that was rocky and where we approached things very differently. And I approached things, very much like you, Joe. Like I got the idea, I need it done yesterday, because mine is always very similar. Like I got 100 things I want to do. And if I don't get this, we can't accomplish that. We can't get this. And it's all tied to like, it's all fear-based and whatever. And in that, I learned that I was moving so fast that I wasn't giving this other person time to have input. But then I would get bitter because I had already done all this kind of work and I wanted to move it forward. And they were like, but I need to look at this now. And so one of the things that I implemented was bringing them into the brainstorming sessions earlier in the conversation. And then I would go finalize it so their voice was heard. So I'm not saying these are your solutions, but I'm saying approaching all of this in understanding who each of you are.
Yeah.
Not asking you to change too much, but you do have to, it would be better if you could come to the other person a little.
I have a question that I've been like holding, but now we're like at the
Say
point
it.
where I must ask it. Do you have like a division of labor? Like, do you understand what your like roles are
and
or
responsibilities.
Yes. I think it's not as probably clear. Look, this is Joe's brainchild. Joe is extremely creative and she is absolutely amazing at not just this type of writing, but she actually created Anxiety Addicts before I joined.
But I will say though, yes, that is my strong suit, but I am so disorganized. I put messy things up all the time and I have no proper corporate experience. I don't know how to take a product and get it to people. I mean, except for like being an actress and making horrible YouTube videos that will haunt me and my great-grandchildren for the rest of our days.
We're all shuddering right now.
It's awful. But I will say that I am very, very grateful to Morgan's skill set because I don't have it.
But to be as transparent as possible, Steph, we do, but I think a big part of this too is because this is Joe's brainchild and it is her creative work. Like Joe asked me to come on. I had the ability to. We were super excited about it. We are super excited about it. Freudian slip, no, I'm just joking. But I mean, Joe's brain is always working and it's not just a podcast, And I sometimes go, oh, that's a good idea. I would have never have thought about that. So it's not just the creative brain. It's also knowing what is coming next. But my brain isn't working every day to say, ooh, this project could kind of, I don't know, spider off into that project. And ooh, have we thought about this? And part of, I think, a creative brain is on the business side of that, is looking for what the next step is. What else can we do with all this work? I mean, we have pages and pages of Joe's writing, and it's like, what other outlets could we look at? And so I think that like the clear definition of work, that side of it, that would sound more like, oh, I'll come up with some other way to get, all of this work out there. That's on the creative side of the person who came up with it. And I think that is annoying sometimes. Not on my side. I'm saying I'm sure Joe finds that annoying, being like, come up with more, something else.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've never been on that end of things before. So,
but I wanna, there's something underneath that, because you said two things, but one of them you've said like 3 or 4 times. It's Joe's. Okay. It's Joe's. It's Joe's. She's the creative vision. I'm not I'm not getting from Joe. I'm only getting from you that you're not an equal partner in this project. And so I think you have to stop being deferential in that way. It's now been 2 years. You are now an equal partner. And I'm not getting from Joe, and she's nodding, that you are not.
Oh, I'm scared.
I'm so sorry. Don't be scared, Morgan. You're doing great.
I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, don't feel that way. But I do feel that if somebody, I don't know, has a play or a creative thing that they're creating, I do think there's a different kind of ownership than the back end of, helping organize, sending out emails. I do think there is a difference.
They're all equal. Marketing is as important as the concept, as important as the legal, as important as
like the content is useless if nobody sees it or hears it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to like drive too hard in it. I want you to sit with that. I want you to sit with the idea, because I don't think like you're not a person who's like, let me rip it open and look inside. So I just want to say that, and then I want you to sit with that and think about it if it resonates with you over time. And I think a shortcut to short circuiting that kind of talk would be to put things into buckets. Would to be like, this is the creative, and these are the tasks this is the business marketing, and these are the tasks. This is the business development. This is the admin. This is the scheduling. And if you can bucket things, each one of those is important. Like of this creative, like of this podcast, the time that we get to sit and do this is what, Steph, 5 to 10%? The rest is like the bullshit. It's the, but it's not the creative part. Sorry, everybody who does the bullshit. But I mean, it's the stuff that as a creative, it's the stuff I have to do to get to do this. But like you could have a much huger role in the other stuff that's equally as important in getting it out the door, to Joe's point.
And I'm terrible at that stuff. Like I'm so disorganized. I skim things and think that I studied them to get a law degree. I mean, I don't do it on purpose. I jump from one thing to the next, and to have somebody with Morgan's skill set is, and Morgan, I've told you, like, it's
corporate structure is so valuable,
but I can't like spend a whole day goofing around writing a story about somebody who got attacked by a monkey if Morgan doesn't find, which was the greatest part of my week last week. Like, yeah. And she's fine, but rabies shots are a bitch, and vaccinations are important. I can't do the stuff that I love, and I love on a level I don't even know how to describe. It makes me so happy. Like, I can't do this without you doing all the other stuff.
I have like these thoughts about like when people make art, like capital A art, that there's like some sort of like ownership over the art that is like sensitive, that I like, if you make art, like that is your baby and your like thing. And then there's like business for some reason doesn't have that. And I think there may be like some sort of exercise in seeing this project as a business rather than as like an art, so that like you can have more ownership of it. Because I had that experience. Like I come from like a fine art world, and when I wanted to like grow my company, I was like, I have to be less precious about everything. Because when I saw it as art, I was very precious about it. Like, I was like, this is my fucking baby. Like, this is the meaning of it. Like, I need it to be in the world in this way, whatever. But like, then I started hiring people, and not everyone sees things the same way I do, you know? So like, I can't then be like, make this in my vision. Like, that is, I mean, I could have, but that would have been a horrible company. But I guess for me, I think like having that distinction in my head was helpful, because like, I'm sure you've been in a business situation where the company could not grow unless other people helped out. Like, when I hired Kathleen, who's like our production manager, my life changed. Like, she changed my fucking life. She is an amazing person that works for this company, that works, her brain works in a way that my brain does not work. And because of her, this company is so much better. And like,
aww. Is she listening? That's really sweet.
I think that hopefully, like, I think in businesses that's very obvious to see, because you're like, well, we have the strategy person, and we have the accounting person, and we have the like creative person, and then we have the person that translate creative to the accounting person. Like, and all of those roles are like defined, and the people that go into them have the specific brain for that role. What's happening here is like, you don't have 45 people, but like, you're also like, you are being placed in this role, and maybe you're having to do a little bit of this role too, you know? And it's like uncomfy.
Yeah, I think the reason why, because I really don't feel when I say like Jo, I think I just have a lot of admiration for her passion for what she does artistically, because we do like our weekly BS where her and I just chat. But Anxiety Addicts Bedtime Stories is her writing a ton of words a week to create these bedtime stories. And I think the reason why I always give her like, and Jo, and I say it that way, is because I see it as an art, because she is so passionate about it. And I really don't want to say, because this is not a nice thing to say about myself, and I don't mean it that way, but I've never had that artistic passion or like a passion for something before. And I think that that's why I give her more credibility, because there is a huge passion behind like going as far as you can with what you've worked on. I don't know if that kind of makes sense, but
it does.
Yeah.
For sure does.
Yeah. I just want you to understand that what you're bringing, that just going to work because it's working is important to you, is equally as important to the idea, to the mission, to getting the thing out the door, and that there's loads of places for you in it. And then when you guys can separate that out, I think more clearly, then you can talk about, first of all, I think there'd be less friction points because you'd be doing what you're great at.
Yeah.
And then I think you can start to talk about those small things you each need to do to meet more in the middle.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. If you just try to focus on meeting in the middle, you're setting up a house of cards. Like, you're doing it on a foundation that's not strong. Like, right now, your foundation's a little muddy, not in your friendship, not in your relationship, just in your places in the business. It's almost like you need to think of the business as a separate room in a house that you all live in together. And when you enter into that room, there are certain types of rules and ways in which you work that are different when you're being friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I keep thinking the word summit. Like, I want you two to just sit with like cocktails if you do cocktails, mocktails if you don't, and just like sit for like a few hours and be like, what would be the perfect, like, if this was just like a brand new slate and we all know, like, what would be the perfect, like, what's the title you would have? How would you write your roles and responsibilities? Like, that'd be such a great exercise, is going into the summit as you each write your job title and your roles. I got so weirdly excited. Roles and responsibilities. And like, what a loser I am. I can't even, that was so.
I love that. Wait, I'm like, will you be part of the summit?
Oh my God, can I?
It's not a bad idea.
Right?
And like, what about listing out everything that has to get done to do what we want to do? Because the podcast is a great starting point, but the scalability of the concept of the business is to be the new, young, hip, sexy, funny chicken soup for the soul. I mean, we just published our 150th episode. We're looking at about 3,000 words an episode. That's 9 books right there. There's no end to the amount of stories, human stories out there. So it's not like, it's a finite well of information or creativity. And then we would love to do a bedtime story TV show on one of the streamers. And I would like us to have our own production company. So it is scalable. There is, I think massive potential for growth. There's a ton that I think we both want to do here, but maybe breaking down what has to happen to make that happen and then divvying it up.
I want a business plan. I want a business plan. We talk a lot about on this podcast about the Great You Plan, which is it's a document. It's in the show notes, and I'll be sending it to you too. But it's a document that helps you kind of frame out what does this year look like, goals. And they can be emotional goals. They can be also work goals and filling all that in with a 5-year thing at the top of here's where I'd like us to be in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1. And it's customizable. You can make it your own. And I'd love at the summit, you guys come in. First, I'm already have you guys at an offsite in a Holiday Inn and a Hackensack. With a catered breakfast.
A Holiday Inn?
Yeah, it's a corporate offsite. It's not expensive. So, but or maybe you're in a farmhouse in Milan. But the first half is coming in and you're doing what your roles are just on this. And then the back half is just visioning of this company. But make no mistake, Morgan, you have to believe in you for this company to fly. So that's part of my homework. I'm sorry.
I wrote it down.
I'm still letting you sit with it, but I have to say it.
I almost want Joe to write a list about the things that Morgan is you're so appreciative of Morgan for, and Morgan, you do the same one for Joe, and then you guys don't look at those and write down the things you love about yourself and see where those line
up.
Yeah. I was just so raving about Kathleen. I'm sure there's stuff about Kathleen that I rant and rave about that she doesn't even think about as interesting or cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then phase 2 is when you all are on equal ground, then you can address Joe, if you are constantly just I have to get all this out, and you yourself are saying some of this perhaps I could have spent a little more time on. If we can get Morgan's voice confident and in the position that's right, then you are going to listen when she goes, no, this one we should wait on. So that there can be help balancing out this panic rush that you're doing that is probably fear-based or just maybe it's ambition, which is great. It could be a soup of all those things, but you can start to address those things too when the ground feels comfortable. And that's not a Morgan problem. That's not a Joe problem. That's a Morgan Joe problem. When the ground feels clean.
We're going to do this. We're going to do the summit.
Yes.
You can come, Robin, and we're going to record the whole thing for social media. And I'm just going to press let's fucking go.
Everyone will be like, this is a 14-hour live post.
Alive.
This is giving me anxiety.
There was a fight in the middle.
Drinks are being thrown. Punches are out. No, I'm just joking.
Someone's going to take a nap.
What do you all the things that we said? What do you two think? How does it feel? Because for me, it feels fantabulous. I could just see you guys just rejiggering and just continuing your amazingness because you are already amazing.
Thank you. I think it's always super helpful getting third party input to talk about things because there are days, I think Joe and I talk about this often. We are on right now a 7-hour, but usually 8-hour time difference from one another as well.
It's hard.
And the time that we do have together to spend is quite rare to be able to sit down and do exactly what you guys are talking about doing. It's usually, I don't know, max, besides doing the podcast, it's max, 2 hours a day over a time period, because by the time Joe wakes up, my kids are already home.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, although not impossible, as you know, people work from all over the world and it's fine, but I think it makes it harder to sit down. And of course, the first 30 minutes of what we talk, we are best friends. We start talking about why this person made us mad or gossip. That also, I think, it's just kind of hard to sit down and carve out space and time to kind of see a bigger picture. Sometimes it's just day by day, where everything's, day by day. And so I think that's a great idea for us to say, we need to do this. we need to sit down and say, what does this look like? What is it going to look like?
That's why the Great You plan is so great, because it's yearly. It's a yearly check-in. What worked, what didn't work, now new goals.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that we could really fix this is I could get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That would
tough,
fix
though.
a lot of
As
this.
a parent, that's tough.
It is, but it's just because I am a giant asshole in the morning about getting out of bed.
I am too. That's actually one thing we really have in common.
Yeah. But if I got up at 5 and I met Morgan at 5:30, that's 12:30 her time. And that would make her day so much better. And I could do that because I love her that much.
Even if you did that sometimes, doesn't have to be all the time, but sometimes, you know. And I just had this thought for your summit. New York is the middle of both of you. So I will run the
Robin's
blender.
house. Thank you for the invitation. Could you send us your address?
I will host. I will
We're
make my
coming.
children sleep in the living room and you could sleep in their beds.
I had a different idea. Lower lift. You know, you wake up at 5:30 one day a week. I don't know how often you guys are meeting, but like if you're meeting, you know, 5 days a week, maybe like every Monday is summit day. And those like extra hours that you have are just dedicated to that one task. And that way it's not like, I don't know, Joe, you shouldn't have to wake up at 5:30 every day unless you want to.
No, but
then.
I could do it 1 or 2 days a week. I could.
Yeah. And it's like also like the summit doesn't have to be all at once, you know, like you can slowly chip away at this because I get nervous that we're going to be like, do the summit. And then like it's not going to happen for a month because you're in this routine of work you have to get out. And then you're going to be like, well, we failed at that.
Yeah.
So
and then the summit
forget about
becomes a thing that makes you feel bad that you didn't do.
Yeah.
I was also thinking what might be helpful too is if you like, I'm working on this, my Laugh Lab project, which is like this like production company, comedy channel thing. And a partner came in, she was my former boss, and she goes, we need to like, we were doing like a weekly. And she was like, we need 2 weeklies, and one needs to be just business development and one needs to be creative. And she's like, we put the business development on Mondays because nobody wants to do that shit on a Friday, and put the creative, the fun on Friday. And I was like, oh, great. Because we were like bopping around with 400 things that made us feel more overwhelmed. But that also might just like maybe Morgan, you're leading the biz dev, and maybe Joe, you're leading the creative development. And it's like, just like, that's why the tasks I think is really important to get you separated for ownership and roles. And then to Steph's point, it doesn't have to be at a summit in my living room, though that would be really fun. I mean, it could be.
Well, anything to get us together.
Right?
We saw each other in December. I flew out, but that's hard too. I mean, we miss each other too. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard. It would be great to
I know.
have.
I'm always trying to get Morgan to go on a little girls trip.
Yes.
She is. I haven't made it yet.
You're going to. It's going to happen. But what I know, and this is what I want to say for you too, is that like you already have so many things that you're doing well. So clear how much you guys love each other. There's so much respect here in the way that you are working together. And the result is you're kicking ass, and like Anxiety Addicts is amazing. So it's like you're already doing great things. This is just like, could you level it up? And would it maybe feel better if you were able to?
I mean, I would like that. I would really like that. And I do see how my behavior gets to Morgan, and I don't like it. Like I don't want that. I don't want her to have to deal with it, and I don't like what the situation brings out in me. Like I don't like being passive aggressive. I don't like being irritated. I don't like being aggravated. I don't like the Joe that is irritated and aggravated. Like she's kind of an asshole. Like I don't like her. I don't want to hang out with her. And also what I'm hearing is that I need to do a better job listening to Morgan. Like if social media is creating, you know, she says, I hate doing it. And I go, it's not that big a deal. It's not. Like post a picture of your dog, just post something. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Like, why are we having a conversation about this? But that's the wrong response, because what Morgan's telling me is this is not fucking what I want to do. And I should listen to her and be like, okay, don't do that. I can do it. But yeah, I do see kind of more clearly what my triggers are with that. You know, not to lay too heavy a hand on it, but putting this company, because it's not just a project, out into the world, you know, means more to me than I can articulate. Like this is, this is huge for me. This is really, really big for me.
I want to ask you about that because I want to leave on your words, on you two's words. So like, given how important this is to you, what is the one thing, coming out of this conversation that you are like, I'd like to focus on, this is a concrete thing I think I can do that will help get us to that little more functioning working relationship? What's the one thing that your first thing you want to take away or work on?
I think that I do need to reframe how I look at this. And again, Steph, like when you said like business versus art, I think I do see this as Joe's creative brainchild. And I would do anything to walk alongside Joe, and we love being together. And I think I still see it like that. And I completely see the issue with that, because I need to, on the other end, look at it more like a business and give myself a little bit of a push to say, you can put this into it too and feel like it's something more mine that feels like me. And I do see that. And I think that's I'm so happy I don't have a therapist, because I just want to meet with you guys once a week. And I don't know how much we owe you after this.
The summit.
And I think that will be extremely helpful for us.
What about you, Joe?
I love having sort of like some tangible marching orders. So I think writing down, these are the 25 things or 45 things that have to happen every week. Joe's going to do these 20, Morgan's going to do these 20. And then I think I will really try to be a little bit more cognizant about when I'm being bitchy.
We're going to send you our list of 25 too, so you guys can look them over and see.
Oh my
if
God,
Wait,
okay.
I love being in
Love
this
it.
process.
Me
Yes.
too. I'm so ready for Robin's living room.
I know.
And I know there's going to be frozen margaritas. So
There
let's
is.
go.
There is.
I'm excited.
Well, I have absolutely had the time of my life. Like, we could sit here for 17 hours. It just
Of
goes without
course.
saying. You two are the best. And I'm so thankful that you came on the podcast. But please, before you leave us, tell people where they can get Anxiety Addicts. Give us the spiel.
Okay, I'm going to give you the spiel, because if I wait for Morgan, she's going to give me a look and she's going to be like, I don't want to fucking do this. And I'm going to do a better job listening to her.
Yay.
So, Anxiety Addicts Bedtime Stories is available everywhere you get your podcasts. We take 3-sentence submissions from anybody who's got a funny, ridiculous, embarrassing, stupid, cringy, you name it story. We keep all of those plot points as true, but the rest of it's a creative writing exercise. And the idea is it's a 20-minute free vacation to take your brain off of real life and whatever's bothering you, and to let you know that whatever you're stressed about, like, we are all in this together, because anxiety is really lonely and our podcast is not.
I love it. I love it. Thank you both for coming on today. This was so lovely.
Thank you
you,
so much for
Robin.
having us. We love
Thank
you
you,
guys. You guys are
Steph.
awesome.
So I was joking in this conversation about a summit for Joe and Morgan, partly because the idea of the two of them sitting in a conference room at some cheap hotel with catered food, replicating a corporate offsite, it really did make me laugh. And sometimes the jokes are just for me, folks. But it did get me thinking about how I love to steal workflow ideas from my time in the corporate world and utilize them out here on my own. And in this case, I'm talking about offsite meetings. And I think they're a really valuable tool that works well for partnerships or group projects. They are especially helpful at getting everyone on the same page, helping outline responsibility, and allowing a space to address work conflicts in moments when the conflicts aren't actually happening, if that makes sense. Because in the middle of a fight about someone's tone or continued lateness on a project, that is the actual wrong time to try and come up with systems and solutions. So I want to make this pitch to you folks. If you're in a partnership, you're an entrepreneur building a business with a friend or even a new business partner, and you're stuck with personality clashes or you're not moving in the same direction, consider having a little offsite. Now, you don't have to have a hotel and conference room and catering budget. You guys could meet in a park, or you could just get a day pass for a WeWork and book a conference room. Take yourselves out of your normal environment and take this seriously, folks. Come up with an agenda. Think of things like, what's our mission on the project? And be nitpicky with the words. Geek out. Define your project. And once you've done that, talk roles and responsibilities. Assess strengths, weaknesses. Who hates particular things? Put all these tasks on sticky notes on the wall and then move them to a space for each partner so you can see workload in a visual way. Take breaks for meals. Do weird icebreaker games. I mean, have a glass of wine in the afternoon if that's your thing. And then bring the sticky notes back or write shit on whiteboards and brainstorm together problems you're up against currently. No bad answers, safe space. Look for similarities and then look for solutions. Look, I'll be honest, a day like this can be exhausting and it can be tough to carve out that much time. But I promise you that you'll walk out more in lockstep, but also energized with new ideas and goals and short-term plans that are sure to help you achieve all the things you want in your partnership. And hey, if you come out of your summit and you're still not on the same page, well, it might be time for a hard look at your partnership. But that, my friend, is for another episode. Okay, friends, that's it for today. I want to say thank you to Joe and Morgan for coming on the podcast and letting us talk partnerships. You want to hear more Joe and Morgan, and why wouldn't you? Check them out at Anxiety Addicts Bedtime Stories on Instagram or wherever you get your pods. For more Robin, and you may need that, you probably don't need it, but if you do, you can follow me at Real Rob Hops on all the platforms, all the socials, as the kids today say. Well Adjusting is an Edit Audio original series. It's exec produced by Steph Colburn and Robin Hopkins. Our producer and editor is Maria Passingham, and our production manager is Kathleen Speckert. Thank you to the entire Edit Audio team and to you for listening. Oh, hey, before you take out those AirPods, this show is just for entertainment. If you are in need of help, please, please, please reach out to a professional. Go ahead and get that help. You deserve it.